right, well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our Discover webinar, Optimizing Facility Management and Planning. This webinar is a part of our Discover What's Possible 2025 webinar series. The goal of these webinars is to provide you with a taste of different programs and features of CDM Plus that you might not be utilizing or even know about. And we hope that we're able to provide you a few tips and tricks along the way. My name is Julianne Manning, and I am the product specialist here at Saran. I'm joined today by several of my fellow coworkers, including Alex Clay, our CEO, Sherry Sneeden, our support manager, Jennifer Nelson, our support engineer, Eli Turner, our sales specialist, and Chris Widener, our marketing specialist. Before we get started today, I wanted to highlight a few of our upcoming events. One being our annual users conference taking place at the end of September in Lexington, Kentucky. This is our 25th annual users conference, and this year we're especially excited to not only be celebrating this landmark, but also all of the countless connections we have made through the years. This is an excellent time to sign up, as not only will you receive the early bird discount, but you'll also be entered to win a $300 Amazon gift card as well. So if you're planning on coming, make sure you take advantage of all of these opportunities. A new training we are offering this year is a virtual training over our accounting program, and this will be our Successful Bookkeeping with CDM Plus event. This virtual training will take place across 2 afternoons at the end of this month, and it has a little something for everyone. So whether you're new to using this program, have a new treasurer, or you yourself just need a little accounting refresher, we encourage you to take advantage of this class. Not only will you be taken through a step-by-step facilitation of our program, you'll also get access to all of the recording sessions and resources that are curated especially for this class. So definitely something to check out and take advantage of. Today, we're really hoping that with Roommate, we can kind of show you some ways that really help organize and run your different events for your organization. So when Roommate was first designed, we really thought of you, the organization, and all of the different pieces that you are going to have to coordinate and track. And that can be a little bit stressful to manage. It can be stressful to manage your building itself with all of its different rooms, resources, events, people. And if you're tracking all of these pieces in different places, it's easy for pieces to get missed and lost, and you also lose the ability to kind of streamline communication. So this is where Roommate really comes into play. Roommate is a separate add-on program that can be added to any CDM Plus suite that you have. What Roommate does is combine an event calendar, resource, and contact manager into one easy-to-use, powerful program. How many times have you had a group show up to use the gym, but a basketball tournament is in progress? Or you planned a volunteer training, but couldn't find the projector you needed because it was being used somewhere else in the building? Roommate will show you scheduling conflicts in advance and let you know what resources are available to you for that time that you need it. And as an added bonus, Roommate integrates directly into CDM Plus accounting, which allows you to easily bill any group or customer who has rented one of your rooms. So if you rent out your facility for a wedding or for different events, you can easily bill them through Roommate that connects to our accounting platform. So let's take a look. What does Roommate track? With Roommate, you are able to track different rooms, and rooms can be physical rooms like a gym, classroom, or sanctuary, but it can also be vehicles and people. You can track all of your different resources and assets that you have. This is anything from microphones to chairs and tables to crayons if you wanted to. And then you can track events, and they can be either recurring or a single one-time event. And we'll start off here with just talking about rooms. And I already mentioned that these can be physical rooms, like your gym, like your sanctuary, like your offices, or they can be your vehicles, your bus, your 15-passenger van, but you can also use this to track people as well. And what I mean by this is if you have different volunteers and you have different schedules that you want to see the list of a schedule with a list of volunteers that are available for the event, you can create a room for that list of volunteers. Here at Saran, we actually use Roommate to schedule our vacation time. So it allows everyone to be able to see, when everyone's going to be out of the office and so forth. Some other things that you can track with rooms is you can note the size, the location, maximum capacity. You can add different notes. Any helpful information that you need to kind of add to that room, you can add it here so that it's easily accessible when you're setting up for an event. You can also set up different configurations for each room, such as classroom style or banquet or theater. And this allows you to know not only how many people can fit in a room depending on the configuration, but you can print a report that allows your facility team to kind of know how a room needs to be set up for each event. Again, kind of streamlining that communication. And then you can assign resources to each of the rooms. So you know what is already available to you, but also you can know if you need to get another resource from other areas of the building. Under resources, you can track all of the assets that you have. And this is a way to not only know what resources you have available, but it's a way you can keep an inventory list. We hope that you never experience a natural disaster or a fire or that any other damage is done to your facility. But in a worst case scenario, by tracking all of your resources, which are microphones, projectors, sound equipments, iPads, Bibles, tables, chairs, etc., you can easily pull a list of all of your assets and provide it to an insurance company if need be. You can also track multiple details for a resource, such as the purchase price of an item and the current value of the object. You can also upload a copy of a warranty so that it's easily accessible. Another thing you can track with Roommate are contacts. Many of these contacts could be for different retreat facilities that you regularly use, or a contact of a local nonprofit that you partner with. And they sometimes use your facility. So you can kind of create contacts that make it really easy that when they're assigned to an event, all of their contact information is easily accessible. And so people who have questions about the event, they know who to reach out to. So this is really helpful when it comes to things like who typically is in charge of your music ministry. You can add them as a contact, and then if you're having a choir practice or a children's musical rehearsal, you can add them there. Again, people can go ahead, click on that event, and see all the needed details if they have any questions. With Roommate, you can then create events by pulling in all of those details from your available rooms, resources, and contacts, and you can create an event that can either be a one-time or a recurring event. So for example, maybe you're planning a senior high retreat. You can create an event and pull different rooms. So maybe you need vehicles, volunteers, youth workers, resources like a cooler, or maybe you're taking audio equipment with you. And contacts, maybe the retreat owners and the retreat contact. And you can pull that all together to create an event that can be published online through your calendar, on your website, and you can also pull reports so you can distribute those reports to people who need to know all of those details. Roommate truly does become that centralized location to store all of those details. So now that I have told you all that Roommate has to offer, I'm going to kind of go through a demo that shows you how easy it is to manage all of these pieces using Roommate. So first, I'm going to start off with CDM Plus, and you can get to Roommate in a couple of different ways. From your welcome window when you log in, but most commonly we get to it from our program menu since it is a program of CDM Plus. So we're going to click on Program, and we're going to go to Roommate. And the first resource we're going to check out is our room records. All right. And just like any of our record windows, we can set up finds and searches. Right now, I'm just going to click on All. And if we take a look at this room record, we can add a description, a room number, where the room is in the building itself. If you wanted to, you can add an abbreviation. You can provide all the dimensions of the room. You can also add a color to the room. And this can be very helpful when you're building your calendar because you can kind of color code your different rooms depending on what they are. So maybe you want all of your classrooms in blue, maybe all of your staff offices in green. And so when you create your calendar of events, it makes it really easy at a glance to see, okay, these are root events that are in our classrooms, this is a staff office, and so forth. So kind of being consistent with color coding can really be helpful as you're kind of creating your different events. You can add the maximum occupancy. So again, if you have a special event, you can determine if this room is the best fit for that event, depending on the occupancy level. For configurations, these are all set up in your master coding system. And so you can kind of create them in the master coding system, and then you can decide what type of configurations are going to work in this room. And you can add those here, and including like in this configuration, this is the maximum occupancy versus in this style, this is the maximum occupancy. So a couple different options this way. You can assign resources. These are the different resources that live in that room so that you know that they're going to be available to you when you create an event for this room. But also, if you need to kind of borrow some of your cup and saucer china, you know where you can go to find those different pieces. So you have those options there. And then you could add different connections. And the connections are used where you can connect to different pieces throughout the CDM Plus software. So for example, here under connections, I noticed in this description that this was redecorated because of a memorial that was in place. So maybe there were several donations that came in via that memorial, and you want to kind of connect that memorial to this room, just as an added highlight and connection to this room itself. So those are kind of all the pieces available when it comes to the room resources. Again, these can be actual physical rooms itself, or it can be things like a vehicle, or it can be things like here you can see we have greeter. So all the greeters are in here. So if you wanted to create a event where all the greeters are going to be present, you can kind of list all of those people here. And so when you pull that report and event, you know who's going to be helping greet that day. We're going to go back underneath programs, and we're going to go to Roommate. And now we're going to check out the resource records. So this again is where you can kind of add all of the different resources that you have, and you can be as detailed as you want or not as detailed. But here you can see we have a description. So this is a specific microphone. We know how many of these we have. We've assigned a type to it. We can see when this was purchased and at what price. If we wanted to add the current value, we could add that here. You can record a serial number. That makes it really easy to look up if we needed to purchase more. We can add that default location. So this is where that resource lives. So not only do we know that it's available when we assign that room to an event, but again, if we need to find an extra microphone, we can always check the sanctuary to see if that's where it's at. User fields were actually designed when Roommate came online, and that's because what user fields does here is it allows you to upload a picture of the resource itself. So if you had a question about what it looked like, you could upload that here. This is also a great place to load a copy of the warranty or a receipt that you might have that you want to kind of just track. You can kind of keep all of those details together using that user fields. And just a plug, we did do a Discover webinar on user fields last month. So if that's something you're interested in learning more about, feel free to check out our webinar series page, and you can go in and watch that recording. But lots of good information and useful tips when it comes to user fields. And then for connections, you can add a connection to maybe a vendor record or other pieces throughout CDM Plus that relate to this resource itself. And then the last thing we're going to look at here is if we go to Program, Roommate, Contact Resource Records. This again, you can use this. Now, contact records is different than individual records, so this is separate. But this is a great place where, again, if there's a contact at a different retreat center that you typically use, you can add them here. So when you're creating that event and you're going to that facility, you have all of their details here listed here. Or it could just be a regular volunteer in the sense of like, John, he typically is the one who helps leads up our singles fellowship ministry. And so any event that we might have that we can add him to that event so that his contact information is easily accessible when people go and research that event. And if you wanted to, you could use that connections tab to connect them to an individual record. And that way you can kind of see that relationship as well. So once you have all of your records kind of set up, so all of your room records, your resource records, and your contacts records, you can pull all of those together in our schedule. So we're going to take a look here at our event schedule. All right, perfect. So a lot of cool things in regards to this event schedule. First, all of our rooms are listed on this left-hand side. So right now we have this mark that we're going to display all of our rooms here so we can see all the activity within our organization. But maybe we just want to see the things that were going on in the classrooms. I can choose none, and then I can just click on the rooms that I want to see. And then those are the ones that are going to pop up on the calendar. So if I just want to see what's going on in the different classrooms, then I can just choose those rooms and then just focus on those specific rooms itself. So that's one way you can do it. The other thing is you can create different departments, and you can create different departments in our master coding system. And then all of these departments are listed here. So right now we see a list of events that are going on for all of our departments, but let's say we wanted to just focus on our Christian education department. We can put a check in that box, and then this calendar is going to be filtered to just the events that are taking place with our Christian education department itself. And we can utilize this even more when we go to publish our different calendars online, and I'll show you how that works here in just a moment. But what's also really cool is you can kind of customize this for your specific workflow. So if you regularly only need to see the list of activities going on in the Christian education department, we can create a view for that kind of the setting, if you will. So we could just enter in a description and click on OK. And then all of our same views are saved underneath this drop-down box in the upper left-hand corner. And then we can just go to that view that we need depending on what we're doing for that day. So again, just a great way for you can kind of customize this that fits your specific workflow to make it really easy to see the things that you need to see at a glance. So some cool features here. So a couple other different views here. So we're going to go back to seeing everything. This is what it looks like when you're looking at things at a month in advance, but you can also take a look at things from a week to week basis. And if you wanted just to see what's going on that specific day, then we have that viewpoint as well. We can also, using these kind of scroll arrows in the bottom left-hand corner, we can go to the next month if we wanted to. Or we can use kind of this drop-down box right here. Let's say we wanted to kind of see what's going on in December, because I'm sure some of you are already planning things going on in December. But if we click on December here, it allows us to jump directly to that specific month so we can see what's happening there. And then if we easily wanted to jump back to today, we just simply click on the Today button, and we are back to the month of April. So again, just kind of different options for way that you can kind of maneuver around the schedule itself. Now, this is kind of how you can see things through CDM Plus Desktop, but then you also have an option to kind of publish your different calendars online itself. So here is what it looks like online. So this is an example of my published church calendar itself. So we're in May, we're going to go back to April, and you're going to see all the events that were reflected in CDM Plus are also reflected here on that published calendar itself. And the nice thing is you can kind of create these calendars depending on what you want to publish on your different web pages. And what I mean by that is, let's say you have a page on your website that's geared just towards your youth ministry. So you want to publish a calendar that's just specific for the events for your youth ministry. If I click on here, you're going to see that that's exactly what this calendar is here. So these are just the youth group events, and we don't see all the other different details of the church or the things that are going on in the church here, but these are just the events that pertain to just the youth ministry itself. And so you can publish your events to this page and then share that with the different people that might need to know just the events going on in the youth department. That's it. And then on any of these calendars, you have the option to look at these events from a week's point of view, a day point of view. Again, you can jump to different months. You can jump back to today if needed. So you have all those different options there. The other thing I really like is when I want to kind of look at the details of one specific event, I can simply click on, let's see here, I can click on one of these events. We have our senior high retreat here. And so kind of all the pieces that I added when I created the event itself on that roommate calendar, I can see them added here at a glance here online. So anybody can see these details. So everyone knows, hey, the bus is coming from the garage. These are the youth leaders that are going to be joining us on the retreat. These are kind of the dates of the retreat. And if I have any questions while my child is away at the retreat, then I can contact this person who is at the retreat facility itself. So he can see all those different pieces just with the click of a button. All right. And then one of the best things about CDM Plus is truly just how you're able to customize things for your specific workflow. And Roommate is no different. If I go up to CDM Plus here, if you're on a Windows computer, you're going to go to File. But for me, I'm going to go to CDM Plus and Preferences, and I'm going to click on CDM Plus User. And if I click on Roommate over here, there's so many different things I can format, but I can really format this calendar to look and feel how I want it to be. So an example of this is, let's say here, we've got description, we've got setup time, and we've got take down time here. And let's say setup time, we've had this kind of enclosed with parentheses that just kind of helps us to note like, yep, that's a setup time. But I also want to kind of change that for my takedown time as well. So if I click on the takedown time field and I check the box enclosed with parentheses, I can see that kind of added here. And I can also see my other choices. I can see an example of what that would look like here below. And then once I save, I'm going to see those parentheses kind of reflected on my calendar itself. And then vice versa, if I'm like, that doesn't really help, it just kind of adds a little bit too much clutter, I can actually remove those as well. So let's say we're going to not enclose setup time with parentheses, nor take down time, and we're going to save those changes, and we're going to see those parentheses go away on our calendar. So that's just a very, very small taste of the different preferences you can set up. But really, it's all about making this work for you and your workflow, and you can really customize it how it works best for you. All right, so let's take a look at what it might be to create an event itself. So let's say a local nonprofit, they came to me and they want to rent our facility for an upcoming fundraiser. So we are going to jump to the next month here. And you can either double click in the day itself, or I can use this little plus sign here. We're going to enter in a description. It is going to start at 6. And it's going to go to 8. But they're going to actually come in at noon to help start setting up. And tear down goes much faster. Many hands make light work, we hope. So we're going to only allow for an hour of takedown time. Now, as a context here, we're going to add Camille. She is the worker with the nonprofit. And we're going to add this as an outreach department here. If there are any other notes or details I wanted to add, I could list those here, like And then we get to go assign the different rooms. So what rooms are we going to utilize for this event? I'm going to click on rooms and we're going to be in the gym and we want the banquet configuration. I'm going to add a room. Janie, one of our members on staff, she said she's going to help out with this event. So we're going to add her here so we know when she sees her schedule, she can remember that she's listed here to help. For billing, we do charge a small fee for the use of our facility. So we're going to enter that here. And then we can, since it's connected to our accounting program, you can go ahead and select the customer we're going to bill this to. And then once we generate invoices, you'll see that invoice number appear here. If we want to add any notes, then we have that option. We go to resources, it's going to ask, do you want to automatically assign the default resources that are automatically in that room? And we're going to say yes, we want those. So we're going to give that moment here to populate. All right, so we've got the folding tables, and we need those. We see that there's 4 of them, but we also need to add a couple other resources as well. So we're going to click on this add resources here. And what this is going to do is pull up a list of all of our resources available throughout the whole building. And we can think about what tables do we need, what chairs do we need, do we need speakers? So we can see all of our different resources here, and we're going to choose, we want the 6-inch diagonal folding tables, and we want some chairs. So we want to use the padded chairs for this, and we want to use some metal folding chairs as well. So we'll go ahead and click on both of those and click on OK. And then all those resources are then added to this event. But what's nice is I don't need all of those 6-inch diagonal round tables. I only need 20 of them. So I'm just going to put 20 here. And you can see that shows the quantity I need for this event. But then it shows that 18 are then available. So if somebody else had a different event around about the same time, and they needed some round tables, then they could see how many were available to use for their event. And the same thing with the chairs go. I'm going to use all of the padded stacked green chairs. So I'm going to go ahead and put 100 there, but I only need about half of the 30 metal chairs. So I'm going to just put those out. And that again lets people know resources that are available for different events that they might have. This isn't a recurring event, so I don't need to worry about that. And we can always check this conflict tab just to double check that there's nothing that's conflicting. And what this is going to do is just show us, any conflicts with any of the rooms. So it's going to look at our schedule to see if any of the rooms that we selected here are already on the schedule for that time. And we're going to click Save. All right, and so now we can see in May, we have this trivia night fundraiser. And if we jump to our online calendars, without having to go back in and republish and tweedle with it, if we refresh our page and we jump to May, that event is going to automatically show up on our published online calendar. But if we jump over to the youth ministry and we refresh our page and we go to May, it's not going to show up on there. And the reason for that is because that event is just for the outreach department, not for not for the youth. And so it's not going to show up on the youth event calendar because it's not applicable to the youth. So again, just a great way to kind of streamline that communication piece to make it easy for people to see only the information that they need to see. All right, another thing I wanted to show you here today is you can create recurring events. So we're going to jump back to today here. And let's say we started a lunch and laugh, kind of a time where our staff can kind of just gather and just kind of have a moment just to kind of connect and kind of chill with each other. And we know that it's going to be such a successful event that we want to kind of make this reoccurring. So I'm going to click on the event here. I can double click on it so I can modify. And if I go to that recurring tab, I want this to occur the first Friday of each month. So I'm going to click on Advance. I'm going to choose Friday as the date. I'm going to choose the first as the date, and then I'm going to choose all months. If there was a time where I knew like maybe we're not going to meet in December, it's a really busy time, then I can uncheck that box, and I have that option. And I can kind of scroll through here and take a look to see if it is going to work well for us for all of our upcoming events. But here I can see in July, I know that July 4th, we are close to celebrate Independence Day. So I can actually choose to kind of skip that month or skip that day and add it to the 11th. So we're going to kind of bypass that pattern here for the 4th, but we'll meet again on the 11th. And so just as an easy way to kind of make that change just with a couple of clicks. And again, I can go throughout the rest of the calendars just to make sure everything looks okay. And then when I'm done, I can click on save. And now if I scroll throughout the months, I'm going to see that date show up on all of the calendars going forward. And if we pop to July, we're going to see that this date shows up on the 11th as well. And if I go to my online calendars, and refresh the page. Oh, I'm on the youth calendar. That's why I didn't see. Here we go. We're going to refresh our church calendar. I see that laugh and lunch here. Then as I go throughout the month, it's automatically applied. All right, so that's just, again, a sample of the fun you can have with the event schedule, how you bring all of your different resources together. And this is great for communication. This is great for communication on your website for people who are kind of finding their information there. This is a great way for you can kind of share information internally for any of your users that are using CDM Plus. But one of the other great things about Roommate is the ability to kind of run different reports, and you can give those reports to different members of your team depending on their needs. So if we click here to reports, we're going to go to Roommate reports. We're going to go to listings and exports, and I'm going to go to event custom listing and export. I want to see the different things that are going on for just this week. So I've set my date range up for this week here. I've got a couple of different reports set up here. This one, we're going to focus on the event description, the instance date. So this can be really helpful if it's a recurring event. I don't necessarily need to see all the recurring information, but just the instance date for this week. Start and end times. If you wanted to add setup times and takedown times, that could also be helpful. But here, so this is set up to be my room by date. So if I click on refresh here, I'm going to click on expand so I can see this a little bit bigger. So here I have each day of the week and just kind of a list of the different things that are going on. I can see when it is, where it is, the resources that I need for that event. So just kind of all together in an easy to read report. Another report you could set up, maybe I wanted to post a list of events for each room. I can do an events by room report. So I'm going to click on that room, I'm going to load it up. And then I click on refresh and expand. This is a report for each room. So maybe I wanted to put this piece of paper in each room so that the team knows and can see what's going to be going on. And again, I can see what the event is, what resources I need, where it's at. And then if I've set up my report, so it's going to print it off on a different page for each room. So again, I can print these out, put them in the different rooms, and make it easily accessible for my facilities team to find the information that they need. So that takes us to kind of the end of today's demo. And so now we're going to open it up for some questions. And this was, before we kind of get the questions up here, this was just a little taste of everything that you can do with Roommate. This is a class at our annual users conference. So if you want to kind of dig in deeper and really understand the class at the annual users conference is going to kind of take you through step by step how to set up the events, how to set up your resources, really get more into kind of the nitty gritty. and also just show you other different ways that you can utilize Roommate as well. But for right now, let's go ahead and take some questions.
I see a question from Neil about how does Roommate post to the website?
So it posts through the website through Ministry Web Tools. So once you go back, let's see here, it's one of the tool options that you have. So you would just create a tool, and it's the calendar. And so underneath the calendar tool itself, this is where you kind of set up all of your settings. So you can filter it by room. So again, if you want to publish it to publish a calendar based on specific rooms like classrooms, offices, or even just like staff. So if you want just to kind of like your staff schedule, that type of thing, you could base upon rooms or departments. And since this is our church calendar, we're not filtering on either. But this is where for like the youth calendar, I had selected just the youth department. So I kind of have those different options here. And then I can choose like how I want kind of the event preview to look, different details here. So once I kind of make all of those different selections, I can go to this publish setting here. This is the direct link. So if you just want to send someone a direct link to the calendar, you can use that. You can download a QR code. So this is one of my favorite ways to kind of get the word out. Add the QR code and people can scan and be able to see the calendar. But then you also have embed options as well. So embedding, especially on a website, it always makes it look nice and neat. So you have that option to embed using the script tag here. But great question. Thank you. All right, well, like I said, it's definitely a great class to kind of check out if you're planning to come to our annual users conference. Again, we'll get into the more nitty gritty. And we just want to say thank you. Thank you for joining us today. Our next Discover webinar is May 20th, where we'll be taking you on a deep dive on how you can unlock efficiency with advanced saved finds. That's one you will not want to miss, so make sure to sign up for it. And of course, if you have any questions over Roommate or any of our other programs that we highlight through our Discover webinars, never hesitate to reach out to our support team. They're awesome, and they'll be happy to assist you with any questions that you may have. Well, thank you all for joining us today. Have a great rest of your day.